Hi, I'm Finn. Just wanted to do a video today that focuses a little more on some of the, I guess you'd say, turning points in my life that I'd like to share in regards to sort of emerging and a bit like a butterfly in a way, transforming from the stress and of dealing with an alcoholic family member or parent or a drug addicted family member or parent, and just becoming more into yourself and who you are and your dreams and your goals. It's a really interesting one with the dysfunctional family, and I'm just going to step in here now and mention there's a fantastic series that I watched many years ago. I was only probably about 18. By John Bradshaw, which is called The Family. So if you can get your hands on it, it probably is in DVD form these days. It was like, actually probably did watch it. No, it was VHS. What's VHS? But it's certainly be around, and it was really enlightening actually in understanding a lot of family dynamics. So if you haven't already sort of looked into things like that, I have a thing about education and expanding your knowledge is just crucial to a better life. You know, always seeking, always looking, it's just number one. And don't accept the situation you're in. But I'll go into that more later. I just want to focus on a lot of things we can get wrapped up in when we're dealing with a really stressful environment. It's amazing how in the time you're in a world unto yourself. So what I mean by that is, and I know this from my experience, it's sort of like the world ceases to exist, and that's fair enough. When you're dealing with acute stress and someone's problems, almost nothing else seems to matter. And of course it doesn't, because at the time you're so desperately trying to cope and survive. And so it's extra hard to sort of get perspective and to relate to the world around you, but it's also crucial that you do, and it's one of my biggest failings. So I look back a lot, and in the more recent years that I spent with my dad, I was so wrapped up in and you'll know this having dealt with the alcoholics, whilst often really intelligent people and I believe great people in many ways, there's often a similar personality trait that can often be quite negative, and that could be with anyone. I mean, it doesn't have to be alcoholics, but just in general, like negativity, cynicism, resignation. And I got really wrapped up in a world of being highly resigned and cynical, and it was very hard to see the forest from the trees, as they say, or to have perspective. And I really didn't focus on my life at all. I was absolutely wrapped up in someone else's. And that's, in a sense, codependency. And I remember hearing a fantastic quote about being codependent, which is that your life is so enmeshed with somebody else's that how do you know you're codependent? That when you're drowning and you're dying, somebody else's life flashes before your eyes. I love that. So that's when you know that you just care too much about someone else's life and not enough about your own. And that's very tied up in self-worth. And I think a lot of people that grow up in alcoholic homes don't have great self-worth, because a lot of the emphasis for a lot of their life has been placed on the person who has the problem. They're like the centre stage, even if they'd rather not be. It's just everything's about them, and the family life's dictated by this one person who has either a drug or alcohol problem or who has a dysfunctional personality. So they may be a rageaholic, or they may be a workaholic, or they may be just an angry person. So it's really crucial to actually reclaim, it's my favourite word actually, reclaim a sense of self. And easier said than done, but it takes a lot of work, but you have to want to, and that's the thing. And I'm just a real stickler for self-responsibility. I mean, a lot of time I just don't have much sympathy for people who, feel that there's no choice in a situation and or blame the world. I just think there's too many stories out there of people who have risen above the, the trying times in their life and have seen success, and it's merely because they took self-responsibility and determination, and they got that. So I'm an absolute true believer in that you can have anything you want in this life. You just have to know what you want, and then you actually have to do something about it. So I just feel like a couple of the things that changed for me was starting to get into reading of self-development. And at the time I probably didn't really know that's what I was doing, but my first and most favourite book, which I read when I was really having severe anxiety, was The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. And I actually did what the book says. So there's one thing to read things and just go, oh yeah, I know that, or yeah, okay, but it's another thing to practice things. I mean, you can't become a professional at something if you don't practice. So I did what the book asked, and I got very involved in a sense, consciousness and self-consciousness and, really self-awareness, having a sense of self-awareness. I ask, why did I do that? Why do I do this? I ask why a lot, and it's really helped me. It's been a huge factor in me being able to find success in life. I have to say it's probably one of the biggest. The other thing, so those books, so there was a lot of books, and there's so many. If you really want to go searching, there are plenty of books in the self-development world, and you might find something that just really resonates with you. And no age is too young. That's the thing. Like, there's no age. You should be reading, okay? YouTube videos are great. I'm totally up for that because I just think it's a really important way to connect, but you should be reading. We learn to speak from what we read. In fact, I learned, my grammar came from reading more than it came from being taught, so it's very important. The second thing, a cornerstone for me, probably, it's a major one, and it's a hard one if you're at a young age, but it was extricating myself from the family home, okay? There's a point where you're going to get that you can't change it, and anything you do is not going to change the environment. And again, self-responsibility comes in this, because you can either choose to suffer through it, and it actually does become a choice. As much as no one wants to admit that, it actually just becomes a choice. You can choose to still be there or not be there. I'm not talking about the emotions that really hang around that, like guilt. You may be leaving a family member behind, you're fearful, all the emotions tied up that, that's irrelevant, because at the end that's still a choice. Doesn't matter. It's still a choice whether you choose to be there or you're not going to be there. And where there's a will, there's a way. People have found themselves out of situations where they're desperate to get out of that situation. That was a real turning point for me, was getting out of the environment, because I don't know what would have happened to me. And so that's where another area of my life where I took self-responsibility. So first and foremostly was on my mind and my attitude. Then it was on extricating myself from the family home. The third one, I think, and it's a major one and a turning point, was actually starting to be honest with myself about who I am and what I want out of my life. So too often we're either caught up in the past and dictated by the past. We're living so much in the past where we're not creating a future. So we don't live inside a possibility. We're very, I get it. It's it's overwhelmed. You feel despairing, like you're directionless. Who the F are you? What are you meant to do in this world? Why the hell are you here? What is your purpose? It's so important to focus on these questions and start to look at things that have occurred in your life, personal attributes and traits that you can see in yourself, and often there's connecting the dots. So some of the stuff I do with my blog and work on is having people get sort of like the one core message that has developed over time, that they need to share with the world. And often that helps them direct themselves into what career or what they're passionate about. And let me tell you, it takes a long time. I've been so directionless. I have done countless studies. Like, I'm in education, like personal training, energetic healing. What did I do? Migration law. I mean, you name it, I've done it. Like, and all in the hope to sort of find myself. The joke is that what I already knew I should be doing, I could already do. So I have a big thing about, unless you want to be a doctor, often you already have the skills to start today, okay? And if you're going to be a professional in an area and you do need to go to college or get an education, it's about becoming very clear about why you want to do that and absolutely having determination, all right? But these three things, so like I said, self-development, absolutely crucial. Focusing on yourself, becoming aware of who you are, reading. The second thing is getting yourself out of the family home or the dysfunctional environment if you can. If you're with a partner who's an alcoholic, or you're a child of an alcoholic, or you're just dealing with shit in your life, get rid of it. I know it's all easier said than done, but it's going to be the only answer. I truly believe it. I just don't believe living in toxic environments are conducive to anything. It doesn't make you a better person that you're putting up with it. It doesn't make you any more insightful. It's really, if anything, it's just a waste of your time. And I'm very stand for that. And there'll be people who don't agree with that, but that's where I come from. And I refuse to have anything in my life these days that causes me stress. I'm absolutely cutting of it. I refuse to deal with it. And that's the stand I make. I personally, and there's a great quote by, I think it's I don't want to get it right, C.K. Chester, but it's a writer, but merely, he says, tolerance is a virtue of a man without conviction. So what does that mean? Being tolerant is for people who don't stand for anything. And it's only going to be when you actually stand for something and you're clear about what you stand for that actually things will happen in your life. Otherwise, it's just wishy-washy. All right? So, and I get it. The thing is with growing up in dysfunctional homes, you've never had time to focus on yourself. You don't know what the F you want. It's always been about somebody else. And if anything, it's actually scary to have to start looking at yourself and carve out a life for yourself, okay? But it's actually incredibly liberating and it's the place you need to go. And I'm not talking like this all happens overnight. This has taken me I'm 29. This has been ongoing since my mid-teens really, when you start to become aware of things. So it's a journey and there's no destination. It is just the journey. But you want to have the best life in life you can possibly have. You already know what it's like to live with stress. I think there's a point when you have to take self-responsibility and you know that you do not want it again in your life, that you stand for bigger things, that you want a better life for yourself, and the only person that's ever going to do that is you, that nobody is going to step in for you. And that's just the thing, that was a rude awakening for me. I think I was waiting for, my troubles to disappear, for the people who caused me shit in my life to die so I could be free of the crap, and then I'd move on. And it's just not going to happen. And if it did, you'd end up with more probably problems, waiting for the world to change for you to change. So I just wanted to mention those three things, which I said is reading, self-development, absolutely crucial, extricating yourself from the environment. Don't hang around dickheads. Don't have friends who are dickheads. I don't. I just refuse to have people in my life who are trivial, who don't stand for bigger things, who talk crap. Not interested, right? Do the same thing. Do yourself a favour. Get rid of the people who are bringing you down. The third thing, which I said, is start getting really clear about your purpose. Ask yourself every day, what do I want? Visualize it. It's in you already. The thing is, what you want's actually already there. It's just we put so much crap over it, we often can't get to it. It just slips through our fingers. So, but if you go looking for it within yourself, not outside of yourself, but you're asking questions of yourself, you will find it. And that is just such a huge weight. It's almost like someone shines a light on the path that you're meant to go then. And there's a very clear direction. So that's just what I want to share today. Again, I always mention, I come from a place, this is my opinion. So there are going to be people who don't agree with it. And quite frankly, I don't care, because they'll have opinions I don't agree with. And that's not the point of it. Someone out there might just resonate with something I have to say, and that's great. And there'll be plenty of people that resonate with something else that's said, and that's important too, because at the end of the day, you have to find what works for you and get rid of the rest. Cull it. That's just how it works. Okay? So if you have any insights, you want to comment, I'd love to hear if anyone's actually, any books that they've read that help them, or whether or not you have extricated yourself from crap in your life, people, and like whether anyone has found their purpose, what their calling is, what they're aiming towards. I'd love to know what people are doing. All right, I'll speak to you soon. Bye.